It's so funny.
Lamar, we got to talk Cavs. We got to talk Cavs today. Evan Mobley's back. But Lamar, Mahomes, Dan Campbell and his fourth down decisions, the comeback. G. Bush, where do you want to start? Championship weekend, your choice.
Man, let's get to this. I don't know if this was true. Did y'all see what OBJ's father said?
That was
not true.
That was
not true?
Fake,
Okay, good.
Pick something else.
Because I was sitting there like, no, he couldn't have said that. That never happened.
OBJ did not play in this game.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
I know what you were. See, this is what happened when you start
Humor
with me first.
failed.
All right, listen, let's go to Lamar Jackson. Let's get to Lamar Jackson. Wow, I hated their game plan. I just hated
They looked undisciplined to me.
They just...
for
they
the
were.
first time. Like, Baltimore is not an undisciplined
First of all,
team.
they've been a running team the entire season, and they were throwing the ball like crazy.
And it was
I didn't
raining.
understand what they would do.
I was confused, and Tony Romo, for once, I thought was on. He said, Lamar...
no, Tony Romo's hideous.
Well, he said...
He is the worst analyst in
Lamar,
TV.
you better use your legs. You better run. I'm like, Gus Edwards didn't have it. He wasn't getting the ball. They was pulling the ball down, throwing it everywhere. And then, like you said, to your point about discipline, Zay Flowers.
Stupid penalty.
What are you doing?
My God. Stupid penalty.
And then
the fumble going
You
into
had
the
the
end zone.
worst game ever. And people trying to, talk you down. You're a rookie. You better shut up and understand you're lucky to be there.
He'll learn from yesterday.
My goodness.
He will learn from that.
That strip at the goal line hurt his heart.
Remember,
Trust me, he was crying tears at the end of the game.
I think I've mentioned this before, that maybe the dumbest thing, and I've said plenty of dumb things on radio and TV, maybe the dumbest thing I ever said in Ed Reed's rookie year, when he was showboating and fumbled before going in the end zone,
Yeah.
I said they should cut him. I didn't know he was going to be a great player. that was one of the dumbest things I've ever said.
That hurts.
And so I learned my lesson. I didn't say that about Zay Jones this time around. But that was all-time dumb.
Flowers.
I could not believe how many idiots there were out there saying he shouldn't have been called for taunting. I don't want
No.
that was over the top. First of all, they didn't even mention it on the broadcast. He shoved him.
No, they did. No, they actually did. When they
Oh,
brought
they
in
did?
the official, they said there was 3 parts to the penalty.
Yeah.
The shove,
That should have been
Yeah.
15.
standing over,
That's
and then
15.
flipping
I mean,
the
there was
ball.
even
35 yards.
Real quick, on the fumble,
Triple taunt.
on the fumble at the goal line, though, that was an unbelievable play defensively.
Oh, no,
my
it
God.
was.
I don't put that on him.
I don't either.
That was an
but
aggression
you know what?
play trying to get in the
It's
end
gonna-
zone.
It's going to be on his gravestone. For a
Oh,
while.
for sure. But,
But I don't
that
either.
was an
It
aggression.
was a great play,
Oh,
and he was just trying to make a play.
yes,
What are you
that
gonna
I
do?
don't put on him.
But
But penalty is
and
100% on. And
he's
by
a
the way,
tremendous player.
what a brilliant call on the second when they had the 1st and 5, right? And they jumped off sides.
Oh.
Terrific call.
Here's
to
what they did
reset
wrong,
it.
though.
But then the guy blew him up.
Yeah.
Was it Patrick Queen? Because
Yes.
Queen, I thought, had
No, it was
3 or 4.
Roquan Smith.
Oh, that was
Roquan.
Roquan?
Well, I thought it was.
I thought it was
Queen
Queen.
too. It may have been Smith,
No, it
but
was Smith.
either way, what are you drawing a 15 for?
Just go
jump
over the
off
line and
sides
hit him.
and tackle.
Just go over the line and hit him.
By the way,
I think that was frustrating.
And the
probably.
refs missed a roughing the quarterback on Mahomes that
And they don't ever miss roughing.
they don't. But the player used his helmet and grated it across his
Yeah.
face mask, and
Did you see
They missed it.
Did you see the Undertaker clothesline?
oh my
No.
God.
I was like-
That was like 1970
I know
football
it
there.
was. It was the
I thought
longest
his
yard.
head was going to fall
It's like
off
the
for a
longest
second.
yard.
Jadavian Clowney goes in and headbutts Mahomes, and he's looking
Dude,
around. I'm like, what are you doing?
Did you see the incident before the game where Kelce basically
Yes.
told Justin Tucker to get lost?
No, it was.
Yeah,
did you
yeah,
see
yeah.
the video with Mahomes?
I never saw the
He
video
kept-
of it.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. He kept taking his holder stand
Yeah.
and throwing it.
Well,
and
then
I,
Kelce
and
threw
Tucker
his-
got
Kelce
right up
threw
in
his
his face
helmet.
and said something, and Tucker put it back down and walked
Yeah.
back to turn it, and he grabbed it again and threw it again.
That seems so unlike Mahomes.
It was awesome,
Well,
though. I
Tucker was
loved
on the
it.
wrong side of the field. That was the Chiefs' side.
Oh, see, I didn't see any
Well,
of that.
kickers will go to both ends.
Yeah, but what-
and that's kind of but you do it from the 35-yard line. They were like at the goal line.
What is he
or
doing with the
something.
T on the goal line?
I have no
There's
idea
no
what he was
circumstance
doing.
you'd ever need a T
I
on the
think
goal
he was
line.
instigating something.
Exactly.
Mahomes said no.
And then obviously Kelce was feeling himself early in the game, deservedly so, and the Ravens completely imploded from a composure standpoint.
I thought
the
they
rest
did
of the
too.
game, Kelce and Mahomes messed with them mentally, and Kelce was
Travis
just
Kelce,
unbelievable.
Travis Kelce showed you better stop talking about his girl. Listen, they can do whatever they want. Kelce
Yeah.
came out and was like, "Oh, I'm still Kelce," and it was like funny because they didn't really have nothing else like in the passing game.
Well, Rice had a good game, too.
Rice had a game,
Yeah.
but they started.
That was it, those
they
two.
started the party off with Kelce.
They
And
did.
They
that
said
first drive, you're
Well,
like,
they didn't
okay.
do much
look at
offensively after
Look
those
at that.
first 2 drives.
Look at that right there, man.
That was mostly the first 2 drives. They didn't really move the ball much after
Second
that.
half, they had, I think, one or two first downs.
Yeah. But and what was
They
funny
did
is
nothing.
MVS has been a disaster all season, but he made that catch. That one catch by Kelce when he went diving on the
On
third,
fourth down.
Stretched out.
That was crazy.
For them to go into Buffalo and play the way they did, and then go into Baltimore and play the way they did,
They're going to be
they
By the
tough
way,
to beat.
can I tell you that I think you guys will appreciate this as lifelong Northeast Ohioans. This weekend, over the last couple of weeks, I've taken another step in my journey to become more of a Midwesterner, more of a Northeast Ohioer.
You got to get baptized.
Iowan?
You got to get baptized in the water.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Lake Erie.
And Lake Erie.
Yes,
In January.
yes.
So we can-
Although I think Sherwin-Williams destroyed the water, didn't they, this last week?
there was a spill.
Yeah.
There goes another
They
sponsor.
poisoned the water. Thanks, Sherwin-Williams. What happened is, like, when they first started showing Taylor Swift on TV, I remember saying, like, I'm not a big fan of Taylor Swift, and I was kind of like a D about it. And as the weeks have gone by, and I've seen the vitriol and hatred for Taylor Swift,
so
I'm like,
pointless.
what is wrong with
She's
people?
not doing anything.
She's not
It's the
doing
cameras.
anything.
The networks are the ones that obsessively put her on TV.
But even if they do, so what? Like, why do you care?
I know,
mean,
but the fans seem to, which I think is trivial
I
and
just
petty.
don't get it.
She's showing up. She's in the back of the suite. She's not
Yeah,
even
she's
out
trying
seeing-
to hide.
She's
She
trying
even
to
in the
hide.
friends and family
She's not
seats.
even dressed like a. You know what I mean? She's
Right,
got
she's
on
not-
a sweater and jeans.
Yeah,
or
like-
whatever.
I know.
She's
There's
just
nothing
trying to
wrong.
blend
Why
in.
do people hate her?
She's tucked
It's
in.
ridiculous. I mean, everybody loves her, and I've totally come around on Taylor Swift. She's not my cup of tea musically, but I get she's an amazing entertainer, and I got nothing but love for her. And I was thinking about my interview with Joe Flacco last week, and Joe, we were talking about being from the Northeast, because obviously he's from New Jersey, and he was talking about how his town, because he grew up in a smaller town in New Jersey, but he was like, yeah, my town's a lot like people from Cleveland, except people from Cleveland are a little nicer. And it made me think, like, okay, yeah, I'm very in your face, and it's very different. Especially when I first moved here, being on the air, I was very aggressive, and I'm still that way. And some people don't like that. But I think I've become, in some ways, more Midwestern.
You've softened, boy.
I've softened a little bit around the edges in terms of, like, this Taylor Swift thing a couple of years ago, I would have been pissed. I would have been like, what the hell? Stop putting her on TV. And now I'm like, who cares? It's cute. What's
You also
wrong
mellow
with
with age, too. Like the things that
guess.
used to ruffle your feathers in your 30s,
Maybe.
suddenly in the 40s roll off your
I'll be
back.
screaming. I'll be screaming and yelling about something by tomorrow. I mean, I'm kind of screaming and yelling now.
Listen,
but
that's who you are, but I agree with you. Like
Yeah.
Taylor Swift is
what's the big
my daughter's
deal?
her age. My daughter has idolized her since
Yeah.
she was a middle schooler. And I can just tell you, as the father of a Swiftie, if I had to pick a role model for my daughter, I couldn't pick anyone better. She's hardworking, she's talented, she's philanthropic, she cares deeply about the world we live in.
Yeah.
That's what I want my daughter to be like. And
Yeah.
she is. And I don't like this hate and vitriol. There will be an over-under line set on how many times NBC shows her in the Super
Right.
Bowl. Like, let the girl be the spouse or the girlfriend of a player and enjoy the game. And I think she's How did Eminem slide under the radar? Why weren't we seeing incessant shots of Eminem through their playoff
Well, it's a
run?
man-woman thing. I mean, that's part
I
of
guess.
it. Yeah.
I mean, Eminem's a huge star, like she is.
I think part of it is that people, like, there's some people that are uptight because she hasn't been a Chiefs fan her whole life, but
That's okay.
Eminem's been a type. But, like, who cares? Why does that bother us?
It has not hit our community yet. I think the black community cares not about
Taylor Swift and
yeah,
Eminem?
we just like
Yeah.
Good. You guys have it right.
we like listen.
Yeah.
We just trying to.
So, Jay, what do you think about Dan Campbell going for it on fourth
Yeah,
down?
that's the elephant in the room that we have to talk about.
So, what I didn't understand, listen, in the end, push comes to shove. Even me, who's crazy going for it guy, and I love Dan Campbell, I thought he was a total idiot meathead when they first hired him. And he is a meathead, but he's also a daring meathead, and I kind of like that combo because I think I'm a smart, daring meathead, and I think he is too. But the second one, I probably would have kicked the field goal. It's 27-24. Your team has been spiraling. I don't know that it's. I think part of it is he doesn't trust his kicker, and I think that second kick would have been close to 50 yards, and maybe he doesn't try. I think it would have been
It was
48
48 yards And Badgley's career numbers from 48 plus, he's about a 50-50 shot.
Yeah, and
Which
he's
is
only attempted one.
less than your percentages of making it on fourth down from where they were.
Yeah,
What was it?
and
I don't remember.
I think it was a
Fourth and what?
fourth and
Fourth
three.
and 3 or 4.
It was 4th and 3.
It looked like a
would've
long
48-yard
3
field
to
goal.
me.
I mean, what are their percent? What is the Lions?
See, Bull, here's the reason I don't like those stats.
Yeah.
Everybody, the league used to go off league average, which I
Yeah.
always thought that was dumb.
Yeah.
Why are you letting 31 other teams' success in a particular play
Yeah.
drive the decision for what you should do?
Right.
I never liked that.
Do you want
now
all the numbers
teams,
real quick?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you want all the numbers real quick? The
Yeah.
Lions were 15 of 20 at converting 4th and 3 or fewer during the regular season.
So-
2 of 2 of the postseason. Badgley
So
is
their
9
percentage.
That
Go ahead.
percentage was higher than his kick percentage.
Badgley is 9 of 20, 45% in his career from 48 yards, worst among high volume kickers in NFL history.
In fairness, that's career on Badgley and not career, not Dan Campbell's career for the Lions.
Here's the problem when you extrapolate numbers from a large sample size. The reason I don't like that is because they played against 12 or 13 other teams to build that number. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this because you coach differently in the playoffs. You just do. Now,
I think you got to stay true to who you are.
Bingo. That's why I didn't have a
here's
problem
why.
with it. That's why I didn't have
and
a
the
problem
guys
with
that
it.
I were talking to in real time about this were saying the same thing I was.
Yeah.
This isn't a regular season game. The stakes are 55 years plus for this franchise. You're not gambling one play on one game. You're gambling one play on one season and 55 years of futility.
I get it, but
you've got to factor that in.
Yeah,
I agree with
I don't
who
agree
you
with
are,
that at all.
But
I don't think you factor that in while you're coaching on the field.
when you're up,
you can't
24-10,
think about 55 years of losing when you're coaching.
Listen,
you can't think
he's
about
not.
that.
He's not. But the fan base is.
But you
Ask
can't
yourself
worry
this.
about that, Jay.
What would we be saying if it was flipped and it was Kevin Stefanski?
We're never going to talk the other side into it. I think I was trying to think for myself. I probably would have kicked the field goal, but ultimately, the first one was absurd that anybody complained. At 24-10,
I don't think it was absurd.
At 4th and 2, the way he's coached all year, in that situation, they were dominating. The Niners weren't moving the ball at all. There was every reason to believe that if he got the first, that if he didn't get the first down, they'd be able to stop him anyway because they had all day.
Right.
So I understand that one. I think it's
But
ridiculous.
Bull, in reality, the first one,
Yeah.
after they didn't get it, and
Yeah.
this is the thing that there's no stat for this. This is gut. When they
So
stopped
he went
them,
with gut, and now we have a problem with it.
no. I
don't
would
every time it goes wrong, you can't blame analytics.
Listen,
That's a boogeyman. That's
I
not fair.
don't like
Yeah.
analytics. You know that. They're very, very important in some areas. However,
In every area.
in the flow of a game, analytics. What does analytics tell you that when you're up 24-10 and you're on the road and it's the NFC Championship that you're going to do it this percentage of time?
We missing the point.
It's all different. And the game flipped
We
on
missed
that
everything.
miss. That miss though flipped the game.
You don't know that.
I do know that. I watched it.
You missing the point. When he lines up and he decides whether or not as a coach to go for it or not, in his mind he's saying, look, my team is not as good as the 49ers, right?
Yes.
And the longer you play a team that is better than you have more of an opportunity to lose. I don't want to go to overtime. Obviously, the momentum is switched.
You're talking about the second attempt now.
So
Yes.
obviously the momentum is switched. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give my team an opportunity to put the ball in their hands. I'm not going. I got St. Brown. I got the guys who've been running the ball well. I got Goff. I'm going to give them an opportunity to earn the right to win this game and not put it in the field. I don't got no problem.
I don't
with it.
believe they lost the game because of Campbell. I know this is going to be a minority opinion. I think they lost the game because they choked as a team. I don't buy that they could. I don't buy that the momentum of the game was fully turned because of that not going for it. I think the fumble was what killed them. Because if he not fumbled, they were still up a touchdown. Who knows what would have happened? That fumble gave him
I get that, but
a
look
touchdown.
at what happened after the miss. It's not really debatable that the momentum.
You can't prove cause and effect.
No, but this much you can prove.
Yeah.
After they missed that fourth down,
yes,
the game was all San Francisco. That's not debatable.
Agreed. But you can't prove that one thing that it might not have happened anyway.
Of course you can't, Bull. But being an observer of athletics for as
Yes.
long as we have,
Right.
we've seen situations where a game appeared to be in the bank,
Right.
and there was one play, and all of a sudden it was like, that was the one that you started the
Okay.
snowball down the mountain, and then it became an avalanche.
But his argument would be, I got a better chance of getting the first down than I do of making this field goal, and there's facts that back that up.
Well, the
There's
first one, no. The first one was an 18. They were at the 18-yard line, I think.
No, the first one would have been a 4, but the first one they were
I think
up
it was a 40-yarder.
The first, I think the only debate is on the second one.
The first one, where were they at?
It would have been
an 18-yard line.
I think it would have been a 45-yarder. No.
And what was the
think it was
score?
that far
What would
back.
that first one have been, Mike?
I'm looking it up right now.
I think
Hold
it would have been a 45-yarder.
Yeah, I thought they were closer. Now maybe my memory's off.
I thought it was
if I am, I'm
28.
wrong.
Jason, you gamble, right? You gamble a little bit in
A
the
little
past.
bit, not a lot.
My thought process is I don't really dibble and dabble in gambling too much. But here's the thing I'm going to do.
I don't either.
I'm not going to gamble $5. Why would I gamble $5 when I can gamble $200 and try to get the big pot? If I'm not to me, you can't gamble with little minimosky stuff. Gambling really pays dividends when you go for it all. And if I'm in this football game and I'm looking around and I'm already beating you, you know that you're on the road, things are against you.
Yeah.
You up the lead.
That's why you take the points.
Your goal is to put them away.
But you always say take the points as if the field goal's a short thing. It's far from it.
Here's
I like
the
my
thing.
chances on field goals.
It was a 45-yarder, the first one.
Most of these
A
kickers,
45 and a 48-yarder for a kicker who's only made one kick this season that distance.
He's only made one that distance because he hasn't tried them. He
Because
doesn't
they
give him
don't
a chance.
trust him.
Or, I mean, this is his second kicker.
Yeah.
He trusted him more than the kicker that he cut.
You know, one thing that's interesting to me is one of the biggest criticisms. I'm going to take this back to Ohio State and Ryan Day. One of the big criticisms of Ryan Day is that he gets conservative against Michigan and he shrinks in the moment.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell did not do that.
No. Oh,
he
no
stayed
way.
true to who he was.
Yep.
And that's how they
I
got
love
there.
And now he gets to,
and
live
it
with
didn't-
that.
And it didn't work. But you know what?
Right.
That's okay. Because he stayed true to who he was. He didn't
Now-
shrink in the moment. He didn't change up and get scared at the last minute.
Let
He
me
said,
ask you
This
this.
is why
I
we're
bet
here.
every player on that team is happy he went for it.
And I guarantee
That's my
I
guess.
guarantee-
Probably not everyone, but most.
I will tell you this.
Yeah.
The fans that I know that are Lions fans
They're fans.
are all, I know, but let's just say this. I'm going to ask G. Bush.
Yeah.
He's the biggest Browns fan of us.
Yes.
It wasn't the Lions. It was the Browns. They're on the road in the AFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
They're up 24-10. We have, like the Lions, never been to a Super Bowl.
With a kicker you don't trust.
You have kicker you don't trust.
Okay.
Even though, I mean, I don't know what he was for the season. I don't know.
He was 6 for 6.
Okay.
They obviously didn't trust him.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, 6 for 6.
What's
You got
the
a kicker
rest
that's
of the
6 for 6.
question?
You have an opportunity at that stage in the game to make it not a 2-score game, but a 3-score game. To me, that was the significance.
Okay.
That was big for me. If it's 7-10 or 4-7, I'm okay. This was on the road, and by the way, the book used to be on the road, you take the points. The book now is like it's
The
being
book
run.
was stupid.
It's stupid now.
Yeah.
So basically, that was Kevin Stefanski. He goes for it, gets stuffed.
Okay.
The momentum of the game, whether it was because of that or not, completely switches. Now it's 24-24. Now it's 27-24. Couple of minutes to go. You have a chance to kick a field goal and tie it. They don't. And we miss out on our first ever Super Bowl. How are you feeling?
So here's the thing. If you get, I'll just take this season for the Browns. Browns had all these guys in multiple quarters. Joe Flacco is where
Yeah,
he
that's
is,
not
right?
a fair. That's not what I mean.
I'm just-
the Lions this year
It's my
were
team.
expected to be there all year.
Okay, well, I'm just going to only go by who we had.
It's next year, and,
Okay.
and we're 12-5, and we won the division.
Okay, so you're in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that you put people away. I'm not leaving it a chance. You're up 24-10, and I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you take the field goal, take this." Look, you go up at that time 31-10, it's over.
Yeah.
I want the guys on the field. I would tell them before the game, guys, we're gonna go in this game aggressive. I'm letting you. Hey, every
He
one of
did
you
it all year.
Every one of you come on in here.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm looking at you in the face as a man. If it comes down to 4th and 2, I'm going to give you the opportunity.
That's right.
Now, by
He
the way,
believed in his players.
There were some instances where he did kick and he did punt. When the announcers were even saying he's going to go for it here, and then he
The
called
only
the
time he
timeout.
kicked was at the end of the half.
Yeah, but I'm talking about a punt when they thought they were going to go for it, and they're like, certainly he's
And
not going to go
and
for
then
it.
I
But he brought his offense back out there, and then he called a timeout and he decided
I
to
actually
punt.
thought he should have gone for it at the end of the half. I actually thought he should have.
Not me.
I wouldn't have had a problem with that.
Not me.
But part of the reason.
But I never believed the Lions were going to
Jason,
win that game.
part of the reason you go for it all the time is you think, well, even if we fail, I believe in my defense to stop it.
Yeah.
That wasn't the scenario at the end of half, which is I think why he kicked it. Ultimately, I thought my biggest beef with Dan Campbell, you cannot run on third down at the end of the game. Because
the
timeout situation.
Now,
you had to have all 3 of your timeouts.
I was stunned by that too.
Right. Yeah,
to me,
you
that
can't
was
do that.
his most egregious miss.
I agree with that
was
too.
that one.
Yes.
When the second he did it, I said, "This game's over."
Well, because now you had to get an onside kick, which
yes.
we know is very
Where
rare.
in the other way, you were going to get the ball back with 2 minutes to go.
No, not 2 minutes.
Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of the first time. The first time they would have. Yeah, you would have had a chance because they still had a timeout. They used their last timeout, and when you're doing the math on the clock, you're like, game's over.
He would have had 40 seconds, and what would have been funny is, because they needed a field goal and tie, is if he would have tried a field goal.
Well, you have to at that point.
Well,
You
I
think.
guess so.
So here's what I would have done.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have been popular, and I get it. You need 2 scores.
Kick the field goal.
You need time. Kick the damn field goal on first down. Save time. Save the timeouts. Kick the field goal. Now you can kick off.
Yeah.
Go 3 and out, and now put it in your quarterback's hands. And if you want to be crazy nuts, go for 2.
I think he might have done that, but once they got inside the 5 for that first down, I think he kind of felt like we're so close.
I agree.
The beauty of what you're saying is, at least if you get the ball back, you're going to have a shot at the end zone. At worst case scenario,
right.
You're going to have one Hail Mary shot at the end zone, and then let's see what happens.
Hey, by the way, both games are great and a lot of fun.
I'm glad they were because I was worried.
That was
The
exciting.
second game looked like they were going to get boat raced, San Francisco.
Now, Mikey and I knew that was not happening.
And I'll say this because we haven't talked about it yet. We talk about running games can't get you to the Super Bowl. I think that the Chiefs are more run reliant now than they have been in this run.
Yeah, but Pacheco didn't have a particularly good game.
But they're more run reliant, and I think that even though McCaffrey didn't go nuts, I just think the run game that they have is enough to make the difference to get them into the Super Bowl.
McCaffrey's the first great back in the Super Bowl in a long time.
Well, great is a relative term. I mean, there have been good backs that have played in the Super Bowl, and there have been backs that have played in the Super Bowl that had a big part of getting them there.
But there has not been an elite back in a while.
When you break it all down, to me, it's still 2 of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league that are there.
You know who has not played in the Super Bowl?
I don't agree that Purdy's
Evan
top
Mobley.
5, but go ahead.
Speaking of backs and speaking of Evan Mobley,
He was yesterday.